Hey everyone, do you remember Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky? Well, believe it or not, he is going after Donald Trump. This is from Newsweek. Rand Paul slams Donald Trump's migrant deportation plan. Terrible image. Kentucky Senator Rand Paul has said it would be a quote, terrible image to use the U.S. Army to round up illegal immigrants as part of plans for mass deportations. The nominated next chairman of the Senate Homeland Security and Government Affairs Committee told Newsmax that he supported bringing back President elect Trump's Remain in Mexico policy, but had reservations about other aspects of immigration plans. Paul said that immigrants who had committed crime should be the first targets for Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, claiming around 15,000 migrants in the U.S. had committed murder. No disagreement there. He's on point. I think if we start there, we will be fine, he said Tuesday. I'm not in favor of sending the army in uniforms into our cities to collect people. I think it's a terrible image. Paul said the military are not trained for such purposes and that it should be the job of law enforcement or domestic agencies to enforce immigration. Quote, while I am all for Remain in Mexico, I will not support an emergency to put the army into our cities. I think that is a huge mistake, he told the outlet. Trump appeared to back declaring a national emergency in order to enable his mass deportations plan on Monday, with his spokesperson Caroline Leavitt telling Newsweek that the next administration would, quote, marshal every federal and state power necessary to implement the program. Paul said he was not for declaring a national emergency, adding that such motives, quote, smack of martial rule, they smack of no congressional approval. During the first Trump presidency, when he tried to overturn DACA, Rand Paul was one of 11 Republicans to vote against the plan, saying the move was illegal and needed congressional approval. The senator said Tuesday that he was all for removing illegal immigrants, particularly those who had committed crimes, and for hardline policies such as Remain in Mexico, which would force arrivals to wait on the south side of the border while U.S. officials process their cases. Quote, there is, to my mind, some question of the people, the housekeeper who has been here 30 years. I don't see the military putting her in handcuffs and marching her down the street to an encampment, Paul said. Paul's comments appeared more moderate than others from the Trump campaign and those he has nominated to oversee immigration since his election win, including Stephen Miller as Deputy Chief of Staff and Tom Homan as Border Czar. Homan, former acting ICE chief, has warned all illegal immigrants that he is coming for them and to self-deport ahead of January, while Miller was one of the chief architects of the last Trump administration's border policies. Okay, so this is kind of interesting. And I think this does illustrate a genuine divide that exists between the Republican Party. You might be kind of surprised to hear that a divide exists, but it does. Rand Paul has professed to be more of a libertarian, not as much as his father, Ron Paul, but certainly he's taken softer stances on some things, but he does fall in line behind the authoritarian Republicans a lot more. But this is one area where he's just kind of breaking. He's showing his libertarian colors in a way that I think is genuine and respectable. He's saying, no, this goes too far. No, bringing the military in here. That just seems like terrible image. And he's probably right. However that would look, it wouldn't look good. And so he's differentiating himself from the Stephen Millers and the Tom Homans of the world. Stephen Miller, of course, being a guy who is sympathetic to white nationalism, absolutely despises immigrants, and he has a long history of that throughout his relatively short career. I mean, he's only in his 30s, by the way. Tom Homan, of course, a gentleman who led ICE and is absolutely frothing in the mouth, serious about getting immigrants out of this country. He loves deportation. He despises people who are undocumented, and he just really aggressive border crackdown policy. And I get that it's like, hey, we want to take criminals, murderers, get them out of this country, because they broke our laws by coming into the country, and then they're breaking our laws while they're in the country. But like the DACA thing, it's like, okay, be careful, you're going to uproot lives here. And Rand Paul, along with the 11 other Republican senators who joined him, agreed that, hey, okay, DACA actually did help a lot of people who are helpful to our country. And that's a good thing. That helps the economy. Um, I do wonder if Rand Paul, in addition to thinking that the mass deportation program using the military would be, you know, a bad image, he would also say, "Oh, it's bad for the economy. These are people who do important jobs, and we can't just take for granted that things are going to be hunky dory if we deport all of them back to their country. Like, really, our price is going to go down when we deport these people?" That's what the Trump voters are all complaining about. Oh, prices are too high. Prices are too high. Well, when we remove a major part of our economy, how is that going to help our prices? Not to mention the tariffs that Trump supports adding. So, yeah, I mean, Rand Paul, his libertarian values are helping him speak out here. I wish he had mentioned more of the economic impact too, but if he mentioned that, he would really get some blowback from the right, and from his base. Uh, you know, they cannot stand the idea that immigrants help our economy. They will laugh you out of the room at it, because they just want to get these people out of here, and they don't care what the effects are. But they'll pretend that, oh, it actually would help the economy to deport immigrants, and immigration actually hurts the economy. That tends to be their view. But yeah. So let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think Rand Paul is right? Do you think he's a little off base? Do you think he should have said more? I'm interested in hearing what you have to say about Mr. Paul. As always, please leave a like, comment, or subscribe to the channel. I love covering politics. I love covering stories like this. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to speaking to you in the next video.